Hello, Durud and Shalom. Guys, what the hell is happening? We are beginning another war. Another war just started. Holy hell. The number of wars. What do you guys think about this? Are you welcoming this? Is this good news? Is this bad news? Do you think the reasons for it are legitimate? Is this a violation of international laws? Is it not? Does Trump have a point? Is it a violation of international laws? But it's still okay. Is it about drugs? Is it about invasion? Is it about the global the Western hemisphere's hegemony, like United States complete control over their neighborhood? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Is it about drugs? Is it about energy? What is this about? Let me know in the chat if you guys like this, if you're concerned about this. By the way, guys, if you think this has nothing to do with the Middle East, it does. This is connected. This is basically the Islamic Republic's backyard, also the Venezuela. If you guys don't know, Venezuela is a major ally of the Islamic Republic. So let's actually get right into it and see what we think about this. I'm going to pay attention to the chat to see what you guys think about it. I see you guys here. Okay, new topic for a long time. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you guys are interested in me talking about different topics? Okay, so let's watch this. So you guys, welcome.
It reads like a Hollywood spy thriller. On one side was a decorated Venezuelan pilot. On the other was a U.S. federal agent. The pitch was this. The agent wanted to bribe Nicolás Maduro's pilot. Maduro is the president of Venezuela. The American agent wanted to bribe his pilot.
Wait, let's actually go to this one here.
This is what Trump's war on drugs looks like.
I see boats coming in like loaded up the other day with all sorts of drugs, and we're going to take them out.
The U.S. military destroyed these boats in international waters off of Venezuela's shores. Trump is justifying the controversial attacks as targeting narco-terrorists. It's the biggest U.S. military deployment in the region of the 21st century, and it could also be targeting Venezuela's leader Nicolás Maduro's grip on power. So is this really a war on drugs from Venezuela, or is the U.S. up to something bigger in the Caribbean?
What do you guys think? Is this about drugs? What do you guys tell me in the chat? Is this about drugs, or is this about oil, or is this about U.S. control over their neighborhood? Is one of these three or all three? Is it one of them? Is it all of them? Is it about drugs at all? Is the drugs thing just an excuse? Tell me in the chat.
The Roosevelt Roads naval base in Puerto Rico was shut down in 2004. For the last 2 decades, it was abandoned and slowly being reclaimed by nature. But now, the U.S. military is back, and with their most advanced fighters, Reaper drones, and Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft. Puerto Rico is a largely self-governed territory of the U.S. The U.S. military buildup is not only on the island, it's taking place across the Caribbean, with warships, aircraft, and even a nuclear-powered submarine. And their sights are set on Venezuela.
Jesus. Guys, this is too much firepower for just drugs, in my opinion. I don't know. This seems like too much military build up just for the sake of drugs, or am I missing something here?
It's a significant deployment. We haven't seen anything like this in a generation.
Christopher Hernandez Roy is an expert on the Americas and on geopolitics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a U.S. think tank.
For a counter-narcotics operation, it is much larger than anything that's ever been seen.
For Trump, it's...
Oh, guys, I didn't know he's going to say that. That's exactly what I just said. I didn't know he's going to say that. I just piling up videos to see what's happening.
Not just a war on drugs, but on terrorism. His administration has designated several cartels and criminal gangs, among them Tren de Aragua, as terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
The president's thesis is that Venezuela is run by a drug cartel, And Nicolás Maduro sits at the top of that cartel.
This is what Trump posted. Tren de Aragua is operating under the control of Nicolás Maduro. The series of U.S. strikes on drug boats allegedly run by smugglers from Venezuela has killed dozens. United Nations rights experts have slammed the military strikes as lawless and as extrajudicial executions. The strikes stand in stark contrast to previous U.S. counter-drug operations. The U.S. Coast Guard used to intercept such boats and arrest and interrogate suspected smugglers. Now the suspects are simply being blown up.
Guys, what do you guys think about this? This is a violation of international law to not hold them and investigate them. They have no, like, there's no due process. This is a violation of international law. Yes, in the chat.
Venezuela is deeply involved in the drug trade. It's a very important transit nation.
Jeremy McDermott is co-director of Insight Crime, an organization dedicated to studying organized crime.
Venezuela obviously has an enormous...
Guys, here's the thing. I do enjoy watching a communist regime struggle. So don't get me wrong, okay? I just want to be considering all sides here, okay? So Venezuela is an ally. I'm Iranian, and Venezuela is an ally of the Islamic Republic. So anytime an ally of a communist country, I'm against communism, and a communist regime that is also an ally of the people who have occupied my country, which is Iran, them having a regime change in Venezuela is something I celebrate, okay? But so I am for a regime change in Venezuela if it could happen. I don't know if it could happen. I don't know if U.S. is going to do this or if it can do this. We'll see. But if it happens, I mean, if it happens like Panama, then it will be like Panama, as you guys say. Then I would welcome it. Like the U.S. had a successful. I mean, Venezuela is different from Panama because it's much bigger, but they were successful. The same thing happened in Panama, and it was successful. So if it can happen here, why not? Why not?
Coastline, which is the Caribbean and the Atlantic. The stuff going through the Caribbean, some is bound for the United States, but a significant amount is bound for Europe. But the Pacific is more important than the Caribbean or Atlantic seaboards for drug smuggling into the United States. If we look at this from a drug trafficking perspective, it would indeed make more sense to station this flotilla in the Pacific.
But instead, Trump has zeroed in on Venezuela under Maduro, and it's not the first time. In Trump's first term, Maduro was already charged with narco-terrorism in the U.S., and a bounty was put on his head. Now that bounty has increased to $50 million. That's twice the amount the U.S. offered for Osama bin Laden.
What Nicolás Maduro has done is he has created a form of hybrid criminal governance. He's not running directly a drug trafficking organization. His regime has made alliances with criminal actors, including drug traffickers, and he is facilitating and protecting these businesses in exchange for the criminal rents he needs to maintain the loyalty to his regime.
So Trump does have a rationale if this is about fighting drugs. The U.S. has...
It's not a bad... I know it's an excuse, but it's a good excuse. The U.S. is suffering from a lot of these drugs. I mean, I know it's an excuse, and the goal is something else, but it's a pretty good excuse as far as excuses go.
A major drug problem. Hundreds of thousands have died in recent years from opioids, heroin, and fentanyl. Donald Trump promised to stop the flow of drugs. But the size of the Caribbean operation could also indicate something else.
Some think that part of the pressure is, at a minimum, to get the regime to change certain behaviors and provide concessions. And others think that it could be an effort to push Maduro out of power.
Yeah, I think this is what this is about. Guys, there's three options. Either it's just fighting drugs and letting it go, or regime change or invasion. And the understanding is that this is too much military power for just fighting the drug trade, and it's too little military if it's about invasion. So based on the amount of military that is being used, people are saying this is about regime change. Honestly, I welcome. I don't know if this is legal or not. I don't know, but I welcome a regime change in Venezuela. That's a good thing.
And that's what Maduro himself also seems to believe.
By the way, the MAGA people must be pulling the isolationist part of MAGA must be pulling their hair out right now, right? Like they were basically turning against Trump over just some bombs being dropped in against in Iran. And what do they think about this? This is like a full-on regime change attempt. They must be going crazy.
Self also seems to believe.
El objetivo es entrar y apoderarse de Venezuela y hacer un cambio.
Oh wait, what is he saying? I should read what he's saying. Hold on.
Self also seems to believe.
He's saying the objective is to enter and take control of Venezuela. I think the objective is to make you lose your control over Venezuela, because the people of Venezuela, once you're gone, it's going to be the people of Venezuela who would take control over Venezuela. And the people of Venezuela are probably more US friendly than you. So the US will benefit from that. But the United States wouldn't need to take control of Venezuela. They just need to let the people rule.
Y apoderarse de Venezuela y
it's saying, and to carry out a regime change in Venezuela. I mean, I hope so. I mean, seriously, like, fuck you. Like, you're not wanted. Get the fuck out of there. Like, I hope the U.S. does this.
Régimen en Venezuela.
Maduro has mobilized the population.
I don't know if the U.S. was going to be successful, though. Like, even if that's their plan. I mean, they had a good record in Panama. But Panama is so much smaller, so I don't know if they're going to be able to replicate that here.
Maduro has mobilized the population, warning he's ready to declare a state of emergency if the U.S. attacks. Trump has authorized a CIA covert operation. So is the real U.S. goal to take Maduro down? To understand what's at stake, we need to take a closer look at this country, which, by the way, has the largest oil reserves in the world.
Oh, by the way, somebody, Amir in the chat saying, you are not wanted here. He is literally wanted for $50 million. Okay, my bad. My bad. He is wanted. Very much so. Okay. By the way, Venezuela has a lot more oil than people realize. Like, they have, like, getting Venezuela into the free markets is going to be a major, major win for United States, actually. Major win. Like, this is going to make the U.S. a lot more powerful when it comes to the energy sector.
Closer look at this country, which, by the way, has the largest oil reserves in the world. It shares a land border with 3 countries, and additionally has several island states close by.
I still think that Venezuela is very important geopolitically for the region, not only for the Caribbean, but the entire Latin America and South American geography.
Oscar Schlenker is DW's correspondent for Venezuela. Born and raised in the country, he's currently in Germany.
When our country was in better shape, we were the door to South America.
Look at this, guys. This is Venezuela before communism. Communism poisons everything, just like religion. Look at this.
In the 1970s, Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the region. The main reason? Those big oil reserves. For example, here, the Orinoco oil belt has huge potential, but it's far from being fully used. Today, after years of mismanagement, the Venezuelan oil industry is in disrepair. Corruption and organized crime is thriving, and the population is suffering from poverty, causing millions to leave the country.
Because communism, guys, this is what communism gets you.
And growing tensions with the United States led to various sanctions starting in 2005, with Maduro's predecessor, Hugo Chavez.
he had a really anti-American, anti-U.S. Rhetoric. U.S.
Yeah, guys, look at all the countries who are anti-American and compare them on average to countries that are pro-American. You should, let's tells you what being anti-American gets you. Not that much. It gets you poverty. It gets you crime.
Venezuelan relations have been really bad for a number of years now.
Chavez died in office in 2013. Maduro has since installed a ruthless authoritarian regime.
Yeah, this guy going is really good. It's good for Venezuela. It's good for America. It's good for the world.
Installed a ruthless.
Honestly, if removing this guy from power it's a violation of international law, then we need to change international law. What do you guys think?
Authoritarian regime.
I mean, it's not like
when Trump was at.
It's not like United States is going to attack and make Venezuela part of America. If they are successful, again, that's a big if. If they're successful at regime change, then it's going to become. Then the people will gain control. Like it's going to go from a dictatorship, from a ruthless authoritarian regime, to a government for the people by the people. If helping that transition to take place illegal, then I don't know, we need to re-examine international law.
Asked if he wanted a regime change, he downplayed the possibility.
Well, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about the fact that you had an election which was a very strange election.
The U.S. called the recent presidential elections in Venezuela illegitimate and does not.
Because it was proven to be legitimate. It was mathematically impossible. It was proven to be, what's illegal was the election. The will of the people have been rejected. So a regime change is a correction of something that was already illegal. So it shouldn't be considered illegal.
The U.S. called the recent presidential elections in Venezuela illegitimate and does not recognize Maduro as the president.
You shouldn't.
Opposition candidates have either fled the country or were forced into hiding. That includes opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who got the Nobel Peace.
So look, guys, look, this is the lady that the people of Venezuela want. Okay, and if this guy goes, she should be in power because that's the will of the people in Venezuela. This lady is the will of the people.
Candidates have either fled the country or were forced.
And she's anti-leftist, by the way, which makes it
into hiding. That includes opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who got the Nobel Peace Prize for her persistent efforts to restore democracy.
If you want to remember her name, just remember matcha tea, the drink that a lot of girls like, matcha do, right? Is that her name?
Machado, who got the Nobel Peace Prize for her persistent efforts to restore democracy and defend human rights in her country. Meanwhile, the U.S. is considering military strikes within Venezuela.
I think what the US is seeking to do here is to create fractures or ruptures within the Maduro regime. Everything depends on the military in Venezuela. The military essentially supports the Maduro regime, and of course, it's the main instrument of repression.
And that military has profited from organized crime.
Okay, so this is going to be close to an impossible task, it seems like to me. I don't know if the military supports this current status quo because they're benefiting from crime. It doesn't seem, I don't know. Does it seem like it's easy? We come here and we put the right person in place and then we go away? Because if there's an army that benefits from the situation that we're in right now, and crime actually they profit from crime, then I think that success looks to me a lot more difficult. It's not going to be like we come here, we put the right person, we give the people the right to decide, and if the military doesn't like your option, if the military doesn't agree with the people's rule, then yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to have the US military present there and maintain stability and order until elections could take place? Like, I don't know how this is going to happen.
And that military has profited from organized crime. So the idea might be weaken the system that keeps Maduro in power to eventually take him down in the process.
Why do these people look like ISIS? I thought this is ISIS. Look at this. They have the white, they have the black wear and the circle white.
Military has profited from organized crime. So the idea might be weaken the system that keeps Maduro in power to eventually take him down in the process.
I think they are trying to do everything possible or everything at their disposition to try and damage Maduro's administration.
But
is there anybody within the military that supports the will of the people? Like, do we have defections?
Let's keep in mind, it wouldn't be the first time the U.S. toppled a government led by someone wanted on U.S. drugs charges. That's what happened in Panama in 1989 when the U.S. invaded the country.
That was guys, when people are like, oh, regime change and middling never has good results. Panama, we had democracy because of U.S. involvement and regime change in Panama. The results ended up being really, really good. It worked out for Panama.
There is a historical fear that the U.S. will meddle in South America's affairs in a way that is not fair for South America. In all honesty,
Panama was fair to South America. The people got what they wanted.
There's a lot of citizens that are just really tired of the current regime that's governing Venezuela, and they wouldn't mind having a regime change at whatever cost.
Give people what they want. Give the people what they want. This is people power. You know, if you can, I don't know if you can. Actually.
But hold on. Hasn't Trump promised to keep the U.S. out of new wars?
I mean, why would you even ask that? You know, Trump just changes his opinion once every week. Like, come on, Trump. Why would you take what he said seriously? That doesn't mean anything.
We will seek friendship and goodwill with the nations of the world. We do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone.
I mean, you should. Your way of life is better.
But that might...
You should. If your way of life is that people get to rule, that sovereignty comes from the people, then you should impose your way of life upon other people.
We do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone.
But that might not apply to the region we're talking about. Now it's time to look at the Caribbean as a whole. Remember that U.S. naval base in Puerto Rico? This is Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Defense Secretary, on a warship there.
This might be the single most beautiful picture I have ever seen in my entire life. Looking out at these faces, looking out at this Caribbean, on a floating island of American power.
The recent Caribbean deployment shows there's a shift to hard power.
Wow, look at those.
The perception is the United States.
Guys, did I not predict this? Do you not believe me now? Did I not predict this? Did I not tell you that the isolationist MAGA people turning on Trump is going to make Trump more in favor of war? I told you people, do not go anti-Trump. I told you that the MAGA people, the isolationist parts, when they were using the Epstein files to go anti-Trump, and also when they were criticizing him over what he did in Iran over Fordo and Natanz and Isfahan, that's going to make Trump just abandon all of you and just go give a big hug to the neocons. Did I not tell you that's going to happen? Is this not exactly what happened? Am I not a good predictor of Trump behavior? I've been pretty good at this.
Has become a bully. And you either do what the United States
power.
The perception is the United States has become a bully.
No, that's not, it's not, it's, you're not being a bully when you're removing bullies. That's the wrong definition of being a bully. Okay, Maduro is a bully. When you stand up to bullies, you're not the bully, you're the anti-bully.
And you either do what you're told or you face sanctions of one type or another.
Recently, we called it shared neighborhood, but we might be returning to an older nomenclature of the U.S.'s backyard.
The U.S.
I mean, it is come, guys, let me tell you something. The whole international world order exists because of US's military, okay? And you should, like, the fact that the United States is not even an empire, and they're reducing their meddling in other places around the world is already, you should already be like, oh my God, like, these people are holding back, okay? Given that they have such a big military, okay? But seriously, do you really expect for them to have such a giant military and not meddle in their own region? I mean, come on, everybody does it. Like, Russia does it, China does it. It's not like they're holding these countries as colonies. You'd be like, oh, international law. The only reason why we have international law is because of the United States military backing it, right? You should be thanking United States military for even us having anything remotely close to an international order. Expecting them to not exert any influence in their own backyard is actually too much to ask, in my opinion.
Nomenclature of the U.S.'s backyard.
The U.S. operations in the Caribbean come after a few other moves by Trump in the Western Hemisphere. He threatened to take back the Panama Canal. We recently did a deep dive on this. And he, well, joked repeatedly about Canada becoming the 51st U.S. state.
Guys, I don't think that was a joke. He joked. I don't think that was a joke. Do you guys think that was a joke? That's actually that was concerning. That was concerning, I must admit. But I don't think that was a joke. I think that was as much of a joke as he was joking about taking Greenland.
He also suggested using force to take Greenland from NATO ally Denmark. We also looked into that already. All this reminds many of a 200-year-old U.S. policy. The Monroe Doctrine is named after the 5th President of the United States. Back then, James Monroe basically warned European powers not to interfere or recolonize the Americas. For many, it seemed to proclaim that this part of the world was clearly a U.S. sphere of influence. Now, Trump seems to be pursuing a Monroe 2.0.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, this much military power and not using it to to make things more in line with your country's interests is like, it makes no sense, especially if the way you're doing it is making the governments of these countries more in line with what the people want. Like, what? Yeah.
I think what it essentially means is that the United States wants to be the hegemonic power in its region. And it is the hegemonic power, certainly in the military sphere. But in the economic sphere, it has lost a lot of ground to China. And so it's pursuing policies that it feels will ensure that the region follows U.S. leadership.
I mean, here's the thing. Look, the way China tries to meddle in its area is by basically force. The way they exert their influence is against the will of the people of other countries, right? Like, for example, when China is trying to meddle around in its neighborhood, it does things that the people of Vietnam don't want. It's not just the government of Vietnam, it's the people of Vietnam, the people of the Philippines, the people of South Korea, the people of Japan, right? But even though it's in their neighborhood, but when the United States does the same thing in its own neighborhood, it's actually the people of Venezuela want this. The people of Venezuela want regime change. So, yeah, I mean, this is better.
Ensure that the region follows U.S. leadership.
I mean, if they can pull it off. I don't actually know if they can pull it off. It looks very messy, to be honest.
And here,
it's one thing to, like, United States has a lot of military power, right? And regime change is easy. But cleaning up what comes after, that takes more than having a very advanced military and a very powerful military. It takes something else.
Here is where that economic sphere really plays out. In Guyana, one of Venezuela's neighbors. The two countries have a decades-old border dispute, which involves oil-rich territories and a major offshore oil reserve.
Nice.
A reserve U.S. businesses have major interests in.
I bet they do. I bet they do.
To show support for Guyana, U.S. fighter jets made an appearance.
Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S.
Wait, is this in Guyana? Look, the people of Guyana, I bet you they loved it. Look at this.
To show support for Guyana, U.S. fighter jets made an appearance.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. military flyover. Put your hands together.
So
look at that. The people of Guyana are like, yeah. See, the people there want the U.S. support. They want it. They want it. They love it. Yeah, look at that. They love it.
An effect to have the military presence in the region as a deterrent against Venezuela taking any action against Guyana or against the oil platforms in the region.
So how does all this resonate in the rest of the region? Not too badly. Some countries are responding positively to Trump's harsh war on drugs.
The person that is telling me you're crazy in the chat, that's not how you spell your.
This rhetoric really resounds in a lot of poorer people in the hemisphere that are really suffering from the crime and how crime has developed in the region, which brings a lot of violence, a lot of deaths, and a lot of insecurity.
The Caribbean is one of the most violent regions in the world. So this isn't some abstract notion. This is something that tops the political agenda and tops citizen concerns.
One country that has even signaled support for the U.S. naval presence is Trinidad and Tobago.
Nice.
Right next door to Venezuela.
See, like the people love it. I told you, people love it there. This is the difference between how U.S. uses its influence in the region compared to Russia and China. Russia's neighbors do not like Russia's meddling. They do not like it. They do not like it. They are actually very, very, very concerned about Russia. China's neighbors do not like Chinese meddling around the region. They're not happy. This is the difference between being a democratic country and a non-democratic country. Around the U.S., I mean, some of the regimes might not like the U.S. meddling, but the people are like, yes, please. Can we have some democracy, please? Thank you very much to you, U.S. The problem is that if they mess it up, they might not be very happy. It all depends on whether this is going to be like Iraq and Afghanistan, or is it going to be more like Panama, Japan, and Germany? Okay, the people of Germany and the people of Japan and the people of Panama, they benefited from U.S. involvement, right? Right. So we'll see. I mean, technically, Iraqi people also benefited eventually. Afghanistan, not so much.
Presence is Trinidad and Tobago, right next door to Venezuela. Regional allies are still on Venezuela's side. But what about Venezuela's partners further afield, like China and Russia?
I would have imagined China
and also the Islamic Republic. Don't forget the Islamic Republic. The Islamic Republic is helping Venezuela.
China and Russia.
I would have imagined China and Russia to be a little bit more outspoken about these issues, but we haven't heard that much from Putin or from Xi Jinping about it.
Oh, they love
because they're because they're paper tigers.
it. Well, I mean,
Putin or from Xi Jinping about it,
because the only places that they could even hope to compete with the West is their own neighborhood. This is US's backyard. Back off. Back the fuck up.
Oh, they love it. Well, I mean, if the U.S. explicitly pursues a policy where it says we are the preeminent power in the Western Hemisphere, and we are going to consider it our sphere of influence, That then allows China and Russia to declare openly without fear that they're going to do the same thing in their regions.
Oh, no, wait, no, I disagree with this guy. Without fear, we'll see about that. You don't have as much of an here's the difference. Here's the difference. China wants to do the same meddling in their own neighborhood. Okay. You have powerful US allies right next to you, like Japan, Australia, South Korea. All right. So you are limited. Do we have an equivalent to a Japan, a South Korea, and Australia next to United States, which is an ally of you? Not, I don't think so. Nope. No. You don't. We don't. So you're more limited. You're more limited than the United States.
Declare openly without fear that they're going to do the same thing in their regions.
And also Russia. Russia. Do I even need to talk about Russia? Russia couldn't take care of the poorest country of Europe. The poorest country of Europe, which is Ukraine. You still couldn't take care of that. You're still you're still involved in that. So yeah, I mean, sure, go ahead and try. You're only digging your own grave.
So what at first glance is an illegal attack on boats in international waters seems to be a lot more.
It's too big to be a counter-narcotics operation. It may be too small to be something that could be used for regime change.
No, you got it wrong. It's too small to be an invasion. It is big enough for it to be regime change. You got it wrong. It's regime change. It's in full-on invasion, regime change, counter-narcotics. Too small for that. Too big for full-on invasion. Just about right for regime change.
So part of the U.S. case is motivated by an actual attempt to stop the flow of drugs into the U.S.
Look at this. Somebody saying in the chat saying ICE is coming for you. ICE is coming for me? ICE is coming for me? I'm Canadian. I'm in Canada. What are you talking about? What?
But it's also a show of force, a means to secure U.S. interests, and the possible return of a foreign policy doctrine from another era.
All right, hold on. Let's go get some updates regarding what's happening.
We're back with some breaking news. New reporting this morning that the U.S. is preparing to strike targets inside Venezuela, a major escalation against the Maduro regime. And this is according to the Miami Herald, which has sources with knowledge of the situation telling the paper the Trump administration has decided to attack military installations inside Venezuela, and they could come at any time. That as House members from both sides of the aisle say they were left with more questions than answers after a classified briefing yesterday on the administration's strikes on alleged drug boats.
There were not very good answers as to, what is the standard, what is occurring. Lawyers were supposed to be in the room. They were not. People were very frustrated in the information that was being provided.
Am I leaving satisfied? Absolutely not. They just said that they can't answer these questions because the lawyers aren't here. They canceled having the lawyers here.
Are you hearing from the right people?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Since early September, at least 61 people have been killed in 14 known strikes in the Caribbean and the Pacific. For more on this, let's bring in MSNBC senior national security reporter David Rode and retired commander of the United States Army Europe, Lieutenant General Mark Hertling. So, David, starting on this new reporting from the Miami Herald, as well as the Wall Street Journal, that the administration is eyeing targets inside Venezuela to go from boats to land. How significant is this?
Wow.
It's very significant. We're trying to confirm it independently. We don't have that yet. But this is a big step forward in terms of the War Powers Act. And I just looked this up. Section 3 of the War Powers Act says that the president, in every possible instance, shall consult Congress before introducing U.S. forces into imminent hostilities. And so what the Miami Herald and the Journal are reporting is that these would be strikes by U.S. forces on Venezuelan military facilities. Venezuela has anti-aircraft systems, so this is a much more serious thing than these strikes that have been happening on boats that don't really threaten U.S. forces. So we'll have to see what's happening. We'll keep pushing our sources as well. And we're reaching out to people on the Hill. And as far as I've been able to learn, members of the Hill, at least one has told me that they have not been informed of any kind of imminent strike. That doesn't mean they're not happening. They're just saying they haven't heard much information from the administration.
General sources with knowledge of the situation are telling the Miami Herald that these strikes could come at any time. What's your reaction to this potential?
I bet you they just put it out there somewhere to see what the reaction is going to be, to test the waters before they do something. Like, they didn't say they're going to do it, but they leaked it somewhere that somehow that they might do it, to see what the legal reaction and the political climate is like. I bet you that's what they did.
Escalation.
First of all, Anna, what I'd talk about, and David's talking about the immediate strikes, what I'm more interested in as a military guy is what are the strategic objectives? What's the end state? What's the administration clearly defining as mission success in this? Is it just to bomb targets, or is there something related to that? Secondly,
regime change.
How does this campaign, if you will, if they describe it as such, challenge broader U.S. national defense interest in the Western Hemisphere? How are they coordinating with other countries in the region? A strike against Venezuela is certainly going to affect countries like Colombia, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico. And
I mean, it's the United States of America. What does it need to get those other countries involved?
Have they assessed the second and third order effects of a major naval air strike capability against Venezuela, against not only the other countries in the region, but what does that end state look like? And is there a difference between...
The end state looks like him being removed from power and somebody else taking his place, and the people being able to choose their own destiny. That's would be I mean, that would be good. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you, Yusuf. Yusuf saying CCP equals most anti-Chinese entity in history. Yes, I would agree with that, actually. Actually, no, I do not agree with that. I think that was Mao.
What they're claiming is counter-narcotic operations. That was the original take they mentioned, versus what appears to be either a destruction of the Venezuelan military or first strikes and an attempt to regime change. So that's just a small portion of the questions I would have as a military guy, and saying, you know, are there other people reining this in? You get into the legal ramifications like David just said and what's in the War Powers Act. You also get into operational transparency. The American public have a right to know about this, and that's why Congress is so interested, and they've been pushed aside on every request for what is happening in terms of the targeting of these boats. Anna, the questions are endless.
Yep.
And I don't think the Trump White House has answered any of them.
I mean, there have been now at least...
Somebody saying, didn't Mao create the CCP? I thought he meant the CCP today. So, yeah, okay. Guys, I mean, I don't know if you guys think that Trump has the legal right to do any of this or not. Like, I mean, for that we need to talk to a constitutional lawyer and an international law expert, right? So we don't know, right? Honestly, probably not. But whether or not he has a legal right to do it or not, wouldn't it be a good thing if we had regime change in Venezuela? Like, wouldn't that be a good thing? Wouldn't it be good if the people of Venezuela got to get their own the representatives that they want leading them? Like, that would be a good outcome if possible. I don't know if it's possible, but that would be a good outcome regardless. So I don't know if this might be a violation of the Constitution of the United States and a violation of international law. I don't know. Trump does what Trump does, but regardless of what happens, if it does happen, I hope the people of Venezuela get what they deserve, and what they do deserve is a democracy.
A couple of briefings that we're aware of, but David, we heard from those lawmakers say there is still a major lack of transparency, that they aren't getting their questions answered, in part because they aren't able to ask the right people their questions. Who should be given these briefings, and who should be part of these briefings from the administrative side?
Well, one basic thing would be, usually these are more intelligence focused, but the Gang of Eight in Congress gets to know before there's any major operation. There's maybe some gray area in terms of the military, but those would be the chairs of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, and the ranking members and the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader in the Senate would be informed of this. And, we'll have to see if they've heard about this. And the questions that the general's asking are the right ones, like what is the long-term strategy here? Again, I spoke with folks on Capitol Hill, and they did not have gotten no sense from the administration about what their long-term goal is. When the U.S. invaded Panama, that's the only comparable thing, that was to topple Manuel Noriega. There were tens of thousands of U.S. ground troops, if I remember correctly, sent into Panama.
Yeah, so guys, Panama, yeah, if you want to, Panama was successful. So Panama is an example where U.S. does good. However, that involved a lot of ground troops inside Panama for a while to make that possible. And Venezuela, it wasn't like, oh, we just came and bombed and removed the regime and someone else came and that was it. It did involve a lot of ground presence for a long time. Panama is tiny compared to Venezuela, so I don't know how this is going to be done.
So this would be a direct strikes. I mean, you could argue it's an act of war on Venezuelan military facilities. The administration says they're used for drug trafficking. I'm not, again, sure if evidence has been presented of that. But if they strike a Venezuelan military facility, that is an act of war.
And as a layman, that's where my head went. Like, is this the U.S. declaring war? General, as we talk about the...
I mean, isn't that why they declared them to be a terroristic group rather than the regime of a country, to get away with not labeling it as an act of war and instead just an anti-terrorism campaign? Was that not the reason why they categorized them as a terrorist organization rather than a regime?
Questions that need to be answered. On the House side, we heard the briefing wasn't good enough, but at least it was a bipartisan briefing. On the Senate side, some Democrats say they were cut out of the briefing entirely. Take a listen.
Oh, boo-hoo.
If you're sitting in this room getting clearly what have been prior Gang of Eight level classified information, didn't somebody raise their hand and say, well, holy crap, where are the Democrats? Who was willing to say, isn't there a constitutional obligation here? Yeah.
Somebody just gave a super chat telling me that you're blind. Trump is the worst person for USA. I'm Aussie. Okay. Great argument, sir. I am now completely convinced. I mean, anybody that speaks in such absolutes shouldn't be taken very seriously. I don't know. The worst person for USA. I wouldn't say, I mean, I have some of my fair criticisms for Trump. I like a lot of things that he does, and I don't like some of the other things he does. You, sir, seem to be speaking in absolutes, which is not very wise, not very nuanced. Okay, when Trump does something I like, I say I like that. That was good. And when he does something I don't like, I say I don't like that. That was not good. But when people speak in black and white, like, oh my God, he's the best thing ever. Trump never does anything wrong, or Trump is absolutely the worst thing ever for the United States, and nothing worse than Trump ever existed for Americans. These black and whites, this is simplistic. This is too basic. I understand people like basic answers to complicated issues, but yeah, I cannot take anybody who is this absolutist very seriously.
It is about separation of powers. For the folks who wave their Constitution around, read the damn thing, and then explain why you would sit through that briefing and not call foul.
General, what red flags does it raise to just brief one party?
Oh, it's off the chart, Anna. And here's what I think the senator is getting at, is not only are they not getting the intelligence they need to commit to potentially an authorization for use of military force, but I'm going to take it down to my level. You're putting American men and women, their soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, in harm's way. And the nation needs to understand why that's happening.
They say it's for drugs. I mean, that's a pretty when you say the nation needs to understand, well, I mean, they said it's because of the drugs. I mean, you cannot deny the drugs are really bad. They're really drugs are bad. Okay, they're really bad, and they're destroying America from within. So I'm not saying that's the real reason why they're doing it, but as far as excuses go, it's not that bad. Oh my God, we got a $50 super chat. Thank you so much. Reincarnation Entertainment just gave us a £50, super chat. Sorry for my Americanism centrism, calling it dollars. £50 super chat saying like and subscribe to Atheist Republic. Thank you so much for the generous super chat. Reincarnation Entertainment. That was very nice. Thank you. All right, let's continue.
You know, and the question you asked earlier is who should be giving these briefings? Well, I don't know who was in the room providing them. The lawyers are certainly a part of it, but I think it should be not only the president or the vice president, the Secretary of State, the intelligence community, as David said, the Secretary of Defense, the chairman of the Joint Staff, and the person who has to execute the briefing is the Southcom commander, which we know right now that's an interim commander because Admiral Halsey retired just.
Okay, this guy is boring me. Let's go to Fox News. Well, we did MSNBC. Let's see how Fox is covering this, guys. Let's see Fox News.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country.
Well, we don't need to. We're just killing bad people. We don't have to declare war to just kill bad people. Guys. We need to frame that. We need to put this somewhere behind my back. Hold on, watch this.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay?
We're just going to kill some people. We're going to bring that's guys, I don't know. We'll love him or hate him. That was pretty epic. We're just going to kill the people who are bringing drugs into my country, okay? That's just what we're just going to go and kill him. Guys, one more time. That was so epic.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them.
Okay. Wait, did he say, okay, we're going to kill them? Look at
They're
this.
bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them.
Guys, does any president ever talk like that? This is, I don't know.
This is President Trump with a stern warning to the drug cartels during a roundtable meeting with the Homeland Security Task Force on Thursday. He will kill you. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has ordered the USS Gerald Ford and its strike group to the waters off of South America to bolster President Trump's efforts to destroy all boats allegedly.
Okay. Look at that, guys. That's American might. If you're American and you watch this and you don't feel a sense of pride, I don't know, why are you even American? Okay, I'm not even American and I'm feeling pride on behalf of you. Look at this. This is American might. This is the closest thing that comes to godlike power on earth. Okay, there's nothing more resembling godlike power than the USS military. Okay, if you're American and you see this and you don't feel like, holy shit, our country is fucking powerful. We have this. What you're watching on screen can take down countries. I hope you understand that. Okay, if the small fraction of your entire military could basically take out multiple countries at the same time.
South America to bolster President Trump's efforts to destroy all boats allegedly carrying illegal and deadly narcotics marked for the United States. Meanwhile, the Pentagon confirmed the U.S. military destroyed a Tren de Aragua boat in the Caribbean that was suspected of trafficking illegal narcotics into America. It marks the 10th strike on suspected drug boats since September, as Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro is now pleading with the United States not.
I mean, guys, when you see this motherfucker, if you're American, you guys should understand that these people profit. Their power comes from profiting from poisoning your people. They're poisoning your people and they're profiting from it. Like, people like, oh, America is greedy, they're after oil. Well, it's better to profit from something that actually produces, that benefits industry and creates growth and moves things and create things than somebody that profits from poisoning. You know, oil is good. Oil is energy. Energy moves the economy. It brings you prosperity. It brings you growth. So if you're greedy for oil, you're greedy for prosperity of your own people. That's a good type of greed. These motherfuckers, they profit from poisoning your people. If you are American and you see this guy and you don't want him gone, you don't love your country. You don't love your people. There we go.
To engage in what he is calling, quote, a crazy war. In August, the Justice Department announced it was offering a $50 million reward, leading to the arrest and conviction of Maduro on drug trafficking charges. Joining me now with more on President Trump's battle with drug traffickers from Mexico and Venezuela is Maduro opposition leader and 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Corina Machado. Maria, thanks very much for being here, and congratulations on the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is the matcha lady, Machado. Guys, again, if you can't remember her name, her name is the drink, the matcha drink, and matcha do. Okay. So the green drink, like the green tea drink, that's her. That's her. She's the one that got the Nobel Peace Prize. She's right leaning, and the Venezuelan people love her. This is the person that they want. She's pro-American. She's pro-American, and she wants Americans to come invest in her country. And the Venezuelan people love her. That shows that Venezuelan people want better relationship with America. Okay, so this is our hero. This is the good guy in the story.
Maria, thanks very much for being here, and congratulations on the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, also, she dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. So Trump was looking for the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't get it. She got it instead, and she dedicated it to Trump.
Thank you very much, Maria.
I want to get your take on these boats blowing up. The U.S. is meeting these boats with fire. Do you believe that Maduro is running the...
Why is this other lady shouting? This
is meeting these boats with
Maduro.
Fire. Do you believe that Maduro is running the Venezuelan end of this?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody knows Maduro is the head of the biggest cartel, drug cartel, Cartel of the Suns, also the head of the Tren de Aragua, a criminal network that has committed crimes in the US, in Canada, up down to Argentina and Chile. It's all run by Maduro. He has been destroying the lives of millions of Venezuelan people and turned our country into the safe haven for Russian, Iranian forces, Cuban agents.
The Islamic Republic. I told you guys. See, this is the connection between Venezuela and Iran. Well, not Iran, the Islamic Republic. Okay.
Millions of Venezuelan people and turned our country into the safe haven for Russian, Iranian forces, Cuban agents, Hezbollah, Hamas, and
Hezbollah, Hamas. Did you guys know Hezbollah and Hamas's ties to Venezuela? Did you guys know this? Tell me that you knew this or not.
Colombian guerrilla to operate freely for 26 years.
Wow. What do you think should be done about this? Do you agree with President Trump's tact to just blow up these boats as they approach America?
Look, the only way to dismantle a criminal structure is to cut their inflows of criminal money. You have to cut the resources that come from drug trafficking, gold smuggling, arms smuggling, even human trafficking that Maduro heads and operates from Venezuela. It was Maduro who declared a war on us Venezuelans after we won by a landslide in a presidential election.
Yeah, guys, they did actually won by a landslide, and it was mathematically proven that the regime, Maduro, changed the results. Like, the numbers that they used was so stupid because it was so obvious that they changed it. She won the election. So legally, she should be ruling over Venezuela right now.
Last year. So he has applied state terrorism inside towards our people and narco-terrorism abroad to the nations of the Western Hemisphere. So Maduro is the one who started the war. President Trump is stopping the war, ending the war.
Well, you've been...
Guys, she got the Nobel Peace Prize. She knows peace when she sees it. She knows how to get peace. She's an expert in peace. She has a Nobel Prize for it. So she's saying Trump is not starting a war. The war was started by this man. Trump is ending it. So I mean, that sounds a lot like what we talk about with Islamic Republic and Israel. When Israel attacks the Islamic Republic inside Iran, people are like, oh no, Israel started a war. And we Iranians say, like, no, it was the Islamic Republic that started a war. Israel is responding to a war. That she sounds a lot like us Iranians right now.
Fighting this for a long time, Maria. You're coming to us this morning from an undisclosed location. Are you fearing for your life? What else needs to be done to stop Maduro?
Of course, I fear for my life. I've been accused of terrorism as thousands and thousands of Venezuelan people. There are almost 1,000 political prisoners that have been tortured. Many have been even killed in prison. And millions have been forced, a third of our population, to leave our country in order to survive. What we need to do is keep going, putting more pressure on Maduro, making him understand that the days of impunity are over, that he has to put on the side because popular sovereignty, the regime change, was already mandated by our people, as I said, with a landslide victory last year. So we need to advance into an orderly, peaceful transition to democracy, from this chaos that Venezuela is today into order. Just imagine what a free Venezuela will unleash. On the first hand, security, stopping the suffering of our people and the crimes against humanity that have been committed. We will open opportunities. We will give our people the possibility to live in freedom and peace. Secondly, we will turn this criminal hub in the heart of the Americas into a security shield for the U.S. We will get rid of Russian, Iranian agents. We will dismantle the drug cartels, and we will fight for stabilization and security together. Third, Maria.
Guys, she sounds a lot like Prince Reza Pahlavi to me. Does she not remind you of Prince Reza Pahlavi? And this, all the benefits for United States that she's talking about is that also the same benefits that Israel would get if Iran gets free from the Islamic Republic, because then Iran and Israel would be working together in this with the same objective, the same goals. This is like parallel. This is like so similar to the relationship the Iranian people have with Israel and the Islamic Republic occupying Iran. This is like this is basically the same thing is happening, and she is there. So their Israel is United States. Their Prince Reza Pahlavi is this Machado person, and and basically their current regime in Venezuela is like their Islamic Republic. It's very interesting because Prince Reza Pahlavi actually congratulated her on getting the Nobel Peace Prize. And their regime works with the Islamic Republic. It's like completely parallel. It's like the same.
We will unleash the biggest economic and business opportunity. Venezuela will turn into the main energy ally of the U.S. from producing less than $1 million a day to millions of barrels a day through American investment and creating jobs in Venezuela and also in the U.S.
Well, this
is fantastic. Win for the United States, win for the Venezuelan people. They get the investment and the trade, and United States will get a partner, with energy-rich partner. That would be a win-win for both sides.
This is a very important point that you make, and I don't know if you saw that I'm just back from the Permian Basin in Midland, Texas, and this is arguably the most important pool of oil and gas production in America. It right now powers 40% of U.S. production. For oil, it's expected to go to 70%. Isn't that one way that America protects itself by ensuring that energy dependence is national security independence for America, by ensuring that America can keep drilling and keeping us independent? But how do you stop the oil production that's happening on the black market out of Venezuela? Who's funding all of this, Maria?
Well, the regime with its allies in Iran, in China, and in other countries that are bypassing it.
Guys, you see how many times she mentioned Iran? You see how much as the Islamic Republic is tied into the Venezuelan government, how much close the relationship is. Like I lost the number of times that she
all
mentioned
these
that.
sanctions. But look, there's no other country in the region that has the energy potential that has Venezuela. Oil, gas, electricity, hydro. I mean, it's huge. Imagine what it means, a strong alliance, as we used to have decades ago, because you are absolutely true. I mean, national security is energy security, and there's no other opportunity like Venezuela represents. And finally, I want to
See, this is a problem. A lot of Americans, when they hear energy security and oil, they're like, oh no, we're going and stealing people's oil. Your energy security relies of having allies that are energy rich and they're freely trading with you. That is not a bad thing. It's not, you're not stealing their oil, you're buying their oil. They're getting paid. When a country that is energy rich goes from being your enemy to an ally, you're not stealing anything from them. You finally open their hands. You basically broke their chains so that they could sell their energy in the free market in a way that benefits their people. And now you're buying it. You're not stealing anything. You're buying it and you're basically investing in their economy because you're buying it from them. But this is why Trump actually needs to talk about drugs only, because so many Americans are sensitive about hearing that we actually need the energy security. So yeah, we are going and getting involved in allowing people to sell their oil as they wish, which is not a bad thing.
mention one last thing, migration. Millions of Venezuelans will come immediately back home from the U.S. and all around the world the day Maduro goes.
The brain,
So
yes, stop the exact. This is she's talking to me as an Iranian. It seems like she's talking about Iran. Yes, you will stop the brain drain from Venezuela and you will reverse the brain drain. People will come back. Exactly what we're suffering from in Iran. The brain drain, if the regime falls in Iran, we can stop the brain drain.
Millions of Venezuelans will come immediately back home from the U.S. and all around the world the day Maduro goes. So this is a win-win opportunity for all.
Yes, I just wonder if the critics will be right that it will be a massive disruption. When you mentioned earlier to me during the commercial break that people are not clear on what a transition would look like.
Yeah, that's what I'm not clear about. I have no idea what this is going to look like or if it's even possible.
That's a very important issue because the regime is trying to create this narrative and concern of a problematic transition and comparing to...
Oh my God, their regime is like our regime. The Islamic Republic does the same thing. The fear-mongering about what the transition is going to look like. Maybe, oh my God, you're right. So, and like we have Prince Reza Pahlavi, and he has a team, and he has a plan, and he has a transition period, and everything to try to reduce the fear of what happens after the regime falls. And she's saying, and our government, no, not our government, the occupying power, which is the Islamic Republic, constantly tries to tell people, if I'm gone, it's going to be chaos, it's going to be a nightmare, it's going to be civil war. And there's going to be cessationists cutting into Iran. The border integrity of Iran is not going to be preserved as a way to scare people against a revolution. And she's saying in Venezuela, their regime does the same thing. The Maduro regime does the same thing. Very interesting. Guys, dictators copy each other's notes, huh? Like tyrants basically copy each other's notes.
Even concern of a problematic transition and comparing to countries like Libya and Iraq. That's totally false. I mean, there's no other most cohesive society as Venezuela. And it is the people, 90% of the population that wants to live in peace, but peace requires freedom, and freedom
Oh my God, that's what we say. That's what we say in response to the fear-mongering of the Islamic Republic. My God, just like their regime is like our regime, their opposition is like our opposition. This is like deja vu for me as an Iranian.
Requires strength. So we will see an orderly transition. Be sure of that.
Oh my God. Is this Prince Reza Pahlavi, a female version of Prince Reza Pahlavi? What the hell?
We'll leave it there. Thanks very much for being here.
Okay, wait, let's go to the next video. It's basically very similar. Hold on, let's see. What is this video?
Okay. Happy Halloween and all of that. So we had an amazing trip. We had incredible meetings with President Xi of China. As you know, with the brilliant new Prime Minister of Japan, we just had a great time. And with the President of South Korea, we had an amazing journey. We also saw a lot of other countries. We brought back home with us trillions of dollars, trillions, many trillions of dollars. Wow. And our country is doing well. The shutdown proceeds because the Democrats just don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's...
Okay, guys, he's going to talk about the Venezuela strike. Okay, so he's going to say something about... Just wait for
wrong
it.
with them. They've never done a thing like this. They become crazed lunatics. All they have to do is say, let's go, let's open up our country, and everything snaps back into shape. So there's something wrong with them.
You're going to meet with Democratic leadership?
I'm always going to meet. All they have to do is open up the country. Let them open up the country, and we'll meet. We'll meet very quickly. But they have to open up the country. It's their fault. Everything is their fault. It's so easily solved. You know, we have a number of Democrats that have already voted for this. But the Republicans are very unified. They're very strong. And they want to do what's right for the country. They don't want to see trillions of dollars wasted on people that came into our country illegally, many from prisons and many from areas that you don't want to even know about. So we'd like to see this taken care of rapidly. You have a lot of, we have tremendous support, but it's not even support, it's common sense. Open up the country. Obamacare has turned out to be a disaster, as I've been saying for years. It can be fixed or redone. People don't get good health care and their premiums go up every single year. So we should change it. It's a disaster. Obamacare is bad health care at a very high price. So
would you like to see a deal to extend?
Tonight we have a big celebration of Halloween, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much.
Wait, what the fuck? The title says Trump confirms U.S. plans to strike Venezuela. Okay. He didn't talk about that much. That was a misinformation on the title.
For the past few months, the Trump administration has staged a dramatic pressure campaign against Venezuela, conducting airstrikes on Venezuelan boats and amassing unprecedented amounts of firepower in and around the Caribbean Sea. The White House claims this is all about combating drug traffickers, but this already flimsy excuse now looks increasingly implausible, given that Trump has just deployed the world's largest aircraft carrier. So in this video, we're going to...
Let's go do some regime change, guys. By the way, guys, make sure you subscribe here. You subscribe and like the stream. And also hit the bell notification for future streams, okay? If you're new here, make sure you subscribe.
Explain why a growing number of people, including Venezuela's de facto president Nicolás Maduro, now think the real objective is regime change, and whether this is really a good idea.
I mean, if it's successful, it's a good idea. If you can pull it off, yes, it's a good idea. The question is, can you pull it off?
Never miss an episode and always feel in the loop by subscribing and ringing the bell. So let's start by explaining why it looks that regime change is Trump's real objective in Venezuela. For starters, the stated reason for the military buildup, namely to stop drug trafficking, no longer looks plausible, given the massive amounts of equipment that the US has deployed. You don't need aircraft carriers, for instance, to stop drug boats. Conversely,
I mean, technically you could say, let me actually push back on that, because technically you could say that the best way to completely stop the flow of drugs from Venezuela is to do regime change. So if people are saying, is it to fight back against the flow of drugs to the United States, or is it regime change? Somebody says, well, why not both? Like, why would this be a contradiction? Why would they? Why would one negate the other? Why can't we just say regime change is the best way to stop the drugs from coming in? How about that? Oh, wait a minute. Leslie just gave us super chats. Leslie saying him and his disgusting ring of horrible people around him can have their jets and their ballrooms, poor people get to see a doctor when they are sick. Armin, this is gross. I hate every part of it. I mean, the poor people that you're talking about also suffer from a lot of drugs coming into your country. And also, if you're talking about poor people not being able to see a doctor, that one of the best ways to have less poor people is to have energy security in the United States. That reduces the number of poor people you have in the United States. And also, you think this disgusting ring of horrible people around him can have their jets and their ballrooms. I mean, why would we be against ballrooms? The White House having a ballroom, that doesn't seem to be a really strong attack on Trump. I mean, I have criticism on Trump, but I don't know what the ballroom is like. That seems like not that big of a deal. And as an American, you should be celebrating the jets that you have. You have very powerful jets that could do a lot of things that other countries can't. So you should be proud of that. And say poor people get to see doctor when they are sick. Armin, this is gross. I mean, I'm not completely endorsing what Trump is doing here, and I'm not completely against it. I would celebrate if there is regime change in Venezuela. That would be good for the people of Venezuela. It would be good for the people of US if there is regime change in Venezuela. But the reason why I'm hesitating and 100% celebrating it is, one, I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if they're going to be successful. This seems like very complicated. Two, I need to talk to a constitutional lawyer and an international law lawyer. This might be a violation of international law and your own constitution. So I don't know. I have to think about whether or not it is or not. I don't know. Some people in the chat are saying no, it's not, but I don't know. But whether it is or not, if they are successful in doing regime change in Venezuela, that's a good thing. If and that's a big if they are successful, that is a good thing. That is a good thing for both Venezuela and United States, and also for the rest of the world. That should be celebrated if they manage to do it.
The build-up isn't anywhere near enough for a full-scale invasion and occupation. There are a few thousand US troops around Venezuela, nowhere near the 100,000 or so that the Rand Corporation...
Oh yeah, so guys, like this is what these guys saying. I said this as well.
Anywhere near enough for a full-scale invasion and occupation. Conversely, the build-up isn't anywhere near enough for a full-scale invasion and occupation.
Yes.
There are a few thousand US troops around Venezuela, nowhere near the 100,000 or so that the Rand Corporation estimates that the US would need for a successful invasion.
Yeah, so they're not doing invasion, they're doing just a regime change.
Get the idea then. The deployment is too big for drugs, but it's too small for an invasion, which suggests that its intention is somewhere in between, like, say, a regime change. This would be consistent with the recent revelation that Trump has authorized the CIA to carry out operations inside of Venezuela, and it's something that Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has long been in favor of.
Oh, Rubio. Guys, we are big on this channel, at least I am. I don't know about the rest of you. We're big fans of Rubio, Marco Rubio. We're even bigger fans of Rubio than any other. I mean, at least when it comes to the politicians in the United States, my number one guy is Marco Rubio.
And it's something that Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has long been in favor of. Rubio is a relatively enthusiastic supporter of American intervention, hence his reputation as a neocon, and has close ties to the main Venezuelan opposition movement led.
He's the good type of neocon, where the type of neocon that has secular reasonings for why we should do the things that we should do, like why the U.S. needs to meddle, needs to be involved in other places beyond its borders, instead of like really, Christian-based arguments. He has like really good pragmatic reasons. That's a good type of neocon.
As a neocon, and has close ties to the main Venezuelan opposition movement led by Nobel Prize winner Maria Corina Machado.
Guys, again, if you can't remember her name, just remember the jank Macha and then Machado.
Venezuelan opposition movement led by Nobel Prize winner Maria Corina Machado. But how would regime change actually happen here? Well, broadly speaking, there are two ways. A sustained pressure campaign that eventually convinces Maduro to leave voluntarily, or some sort of limited military occupation, like airstrikes on government facilities, or a so-called snatch and grab operation, which would involve...
Yes, let's go. Get that criminal. Get that criminal and get that oil. Get that...
sending US special forces to capture Maduro.
Oh, what is that? A Call of Duty poster that they just put there? Like
called snatch and grab operation, which would
I mean, guys, that would be a good. I mean, I would be happy if they don't have to go and do a full invasion. Imagine if you had some, like and like really small operations of some elite, soldiers, like anything that you have. This similar to what happened with Osama bin Laden. If they could just go in and instead of having like a huge ground invasion or operation or presence, you just go and take care of the guy and get out of there. That would be beautiful. I mean, the guy is a criminal. The guy is a dictator. The guy is he oppresses and kills his own people. Removing him is a net benefit to the world. Do you guys disagree with that in the chat? Would you guys not celebrate if Trump could like eliminate this guy? Would that not be a net good to the world? Like, let me know what do you guys think in the chat. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Like airstrikes on government facilities or a so-called snatch and grab operation, which would involve sending US special forces to capture Maduro and steal him out of the country. At the moment, the second option looks most likely for at least 3 reasons. Firstly,
wait, somebody in the chat is saying, how much money do you get from AIPAC? Even I'm talking about Venezuela. Like you guys, the Jew haters cannot even when I'm talking about Venezuela, you're going to tell me that I'm getting money from AIPAC? This is Venezuela. Like what? Like so? What the fuck are you talking? Are you guys tell me that I'm getting $7,000 for this stream as well? Am I getting $7,000 for this one as well? You guys are retarded. Jew haters are retarded. People who are Jew haters are retarded.
At the moment, the second option looks most likely for at least 3 reasons. Firstly, Maduro has just consistently ruled out voluntarily stepping down. Secondly, this decision would be consistent with Trump's decision to approve CIA operations in Venezuela and the recent deployment of Nightbird helicopters, which have been used previously to insert troops behind enemy lines in Somalia and Pakistan. And third, the New York Times has reported that the US cut off negotiations with Maduro in early October, which had begun in September after Maduro had offered to give American companies preferential access to Venezuela's oil and mineral wealth. It's hard not to read the severing of diplomatic relations as a potential precursor to military action, especially when you take into account Rubio's recent rhetoric on this issue. In September, for instance, Rubio told reporters in Ecuador that Maduro's administration is, quote, not a government or a political regime. They are a terrorist organization.
See, this, like, if you could categorize them as a terrorist organization, then this is, you don't need a declaration of war. We're just doing some anti-terrorist operation.
This sounds a lot like a preemptive legal justification for military action.
Yeah.
After all,
it does sound like that, doesn't it? Like, guys, it's legal now because these are terrorists, not a regime.
The Trump administration has already tried to justify its strikes on Venezuelan boats by labeling Venezuelan drug gangs as terrorists and arguing that the strikes thus amount to self-defense. Similarly, the Trump administration has recently designated Maduro as the head of the Cartel de las Solis, another alleged drug gang that the US has now designated as a terrorist organization.
Yeah, guys, we're just like he's not just a leader of a nation; he's a leader of a drug gang, of a cartel, and a terrorist group. So, yeah, you can't just get immunity because you happen to be calling yourself the leader of a country and be like, oh, now it's a violation of international law to go get you. Like, no, you are a head of a cartel.
Despite the fact that it's not even clear that the group actually exists.
Oh, what the hell? This channel. The group does exist.
You get the idea then. The evidence suggests that the US is currently pushing for regime change. But would this actually be a good idea? Well, Trump and
if they're successful, yes. If they're not, then no. It remains to be seen.
The neocons would argue fairly that Maduro is a brutal dictator whose rule has been terrible for ordinary Venezuelans. Maduro has only been able to hold on to power by repressing domestic opposition and outright cheating. At last year's presidential election, for instance, the vote tallies claimed by the government also translated perfectly to percentages with a single decimal place.
Guys, see, this is what I told you. These people are retarded. Like, it was mathematically impossible for it not to be cheating. Like, they didn't even mess with the numbers enough to make it seem like it was a real election. Like, it was mathematically engineered. There's no doubt about it. Like, it was so obvious. They made it too obvious. We actually had the similar thing in the elections in Iran for the presidential election, when Pezeshkian won, the numbers, even though they were huge numbers, were all divisible by 3, which is impossible unless the numbers were engineered. So these people don't even try hard when they're making up numbers for their election. They're not even trying hard enough to make it look like it was a real election. It was so obviously fake.
This is obviously
Like, listen to him again. Like
last year's presidential election, for instance, the vote tallies claimed by the government also translated perfectly to percentages with a single decimal place. This is obviously mathematically impossible and pretty much definitive proof that Maduro just made up his ideal percentages and translated them into votes.
My God, how retarded do we have to be not to fix those numbers?
Venezuelan opposition has also tried to present itself as a ready alternative, and Machado has recently announced...
It's not like they gave those numbers, okay? They gave the number of votes that each side got, and then when they calculated the percentages came up as exactly what you're saying on the screen, like 51.2, and then nothing else, which is like astronomically, like it's very unlikely for that to happen. Like it's almost impossible for that to happen.
Made up his ideal percentages and translated them into votes. The Venezuelan opposition has also tried to present itself as a ready alternative, and Machado has recently announced plans for the first 100 days after Maduro's removal. Machado has also promised to liberalize Venezuela's economy, which would have the additional advantage, from Trump's perspective, of opening up Venezuelan oil and mineral riches to American companies.
Nice.
So Trump and co are presumably hoping to just switch Maduro out with Machado, but not.
Yeah, and it's a people's choice. That would be the people. That's what people of Venezuela want.
Only would military action probably be an extraordinary violation of international law that would enrage the international community. History also suggests that it probably wouldn't work.
Wait, what?
Not only would military action probably be an extraordinary violation of international law that would enrage the international...
I mean, the election was a violation of international law. Him being in power, Maduro being in power, is a violation of international law. Isn't removing him an enforcement of international law? Given that the elections were fake, wouldn't removing him from power and giving what the people want there, wouldn't that be an enforcement of international law? Again, I don't know. We should talk about
military action probably be an extraordinary violation of international law that would enrage the international community. History also suggests that it probably wouldn't work. These sorts of regime change operations...
I mean, it worked in Panama.
Rarely go to plan. Afghanistan and Iraq are the most obvious examples.
Yeah, but Afghanistan and Iraq, that's not a good comparison. They're completely... First of all, Iraq actually worked out eventually. Right now, it took a while. Guys, here's the thing. Iraq actually worked out. The reason why it took so long for Iraq to work out was because because removing Saddam was a bad idea. Removing Saddam was a good idea. The reason why it took so long is because of the de-Baathification of Iraq. After Saddam was removed, Americans made the mistake of basically completely dismantling the Ba'ath Party. That is the reason why we had a decade of chaos in Iraq, not because of the removal of Saddam. And even then, eventually, Iraq got to a situation that is better now than when it was under Saddam. So Iraq is not a correct comparison. Afghanistan, fair enough, but Afghanistan is so far away from America, and also the people of Afghanistan are not ready for democracy. Okay, they're just like not ready for it. That is the culture there is not ready. Okay, it's not a good comparison. These two are not a good comparison to Venezuela. You should actually compare it to Panama, which is closer to Venezuela. I mean, you could say Panama is also not a very good comparison because it's so much smaller and more simple than Venezuela, but at least the people there are closer. I mean, you're talking about Islamic countries. The culture there is so much even more backwards, and people there have values that are completely in contradiction to liberal democratic values. So these are not at all good comparison. And also, the United States is less able to exert its influence so far away from its borders. It should be somewhat easier closer to its borders.
But there are a host of other examples closer to home too.
Oh,
Reoccurring American interference in Haiti, for instance, clearly hasn't done any good. And while it's...
Okay, Haiti, the people of Haiti are also not ready. Haiti is the same thing. unlike Venezuela, the people of Haiti are not culturally and standard-wise, they're not ready. They're not at all close to a place where they could be ready for a liberal democracy. People of Venezuela, they are thirsty for a liberal democracy.
Succeeded in toppling the Marxist government, America's intervention in Grenada in 1983 ultimately destabilized the country and invited widespread international condemnation.
Why are you not talking about Panama? Panama, guys, here are some good examples. Panama worked out well. Germany worked out very well. Japan worked out very well. Those are examples of regime change. United States did regime change in Panama, in Germany, and in Japan, and those worked out very, very well.
More recently, Trump's flirtations with regime change in Iran have apparently backfired too. While the Ayatollah's regime is clearly genuinely unpopular with most Iranians, the American and Israeli airstrikes apparently engendered a rally around the flag effect.
Bullshit. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. The reason why it seemed like he had the rally around the flag effect was because the government doesn't allow, boosted the volume of the people who were saying what they wanted the world to hear, and it silenced and it hunted down anybody that was welcoming Israel. Thousands of people got arrested. Hundreds of people are still every day are getting executed just for simply liking posts that celebrated Israel's attack. So this is so unfair. You're basically allowing the silencing of the Iranian people by the regime to work. You have one group of people that celebrated Israel's attack, and they've been silenced and hunted down, so you don't get to hear them. And because the side that is against it gets to speak, you act like there was a rally around the flag effect. You are basically using the regime's oppression of its own people in favor of the regime's narrative, which is disgusting and vile, and fuck you for that.
Which temporarily bolstered their standing. Perhaps the only successful example of this sort of regime change.
It didn't, because even the Iranian people who are against the attack of Israel, they blame the regime for bringing war to their country. They know that Israel has nothing to. They know that it was their own regime, the occupiers of Iran, that is constantly threatening and harassing other countries, especially Israel, which brings war to Iran. So the Iranian people know that it's because of the regime that we are experiencing the war. Because Israel never wanted to mess with Iran or had anything. Israel wasn't even against the Islamic Republic until the Islamic Republic declared war on them. So this is the regime bringing war to Iran. So people blame the regime, not Israel.
The American and Israeli airstrikes apparently engendered a rally around the flag.
Yeah, sure. You can show this. This is fucking bullshit. This is basically the people who support Khamenei, which are a minority within the minority right now in Iran.
Flag effect, which temporarily bolstered their standing.
Such bullshit.
Perhaps the only successful example of this sort of regime change in recent history is the 1989 invasion of Panama, when some...
Oh my God, you have to say in recent history so that people could forget Japan and Germany. I mean, technically, Japan and Germany is also recent history. Japan and Germany is also recent history. Yeah, it's like within the same century. Like, what the fuck? There are still people alive today that experience that. So like, oh, it's only Panama. No, it's also Germany and Japan.
This sort of regime change in recent history is the 1989 invasion of Panama, when some 20,000 US troops ousted General Noriega. Noriega and his security services were overwhelmed overnight, and the new government, installed by the US, oversaw a relatively painless transition to democracy. But Venezuela and Panama are disanalogous to this situation in a number.
Oh, they're disanalogous, says the person that compares Iraq and Afghanistan. So how come you get to mention Iraq and Afghanistan as a way that this doesn't work, and then Panama, which is closer, I mean, yes, Panama is smaller, sure, but you don't get to say that when you actually use Afghanistan and Iraq as an example.
Of respects. So Venezuela and Panama are disanalogous to this situation in a...
Yeah, guys, Iraq and Afghanistan are more analogous to Venezuela than Panama. Sure, buddy.
Number of respects. For starters, Venezuela is a lot bigger than Panama. Venezuela has a population of something like 30 million people, while Panama had a population of just 2 million or so back in 1989, but still required 20,000 US troops. An equivalent manpower advantage would thus require something like 300,000 US troops, and probably more given that they wouldn't even have the advantage.
So anywhere United States is successful, it's not going to be the same country. So you're going to say it's analogous. So if they're like, hey guys, United States has never been successful in regime change, and they're like, I give you one example, like, well, it's this analogous, and then a second example, well, this is not the same, and then I give you a third example, you're like, well, that's a false analogy. Well, okay, well then it will. The only way that it will not be, it will be a perfect analogy if it would be if it was the same goddamn country. Every country is different from another country. So what are you gonna do then?
Of surprise they did when they entered Panama. It's also worth mentioning that in what Washington originally envisaged as a simple snatch and grab, thousands of US troops had to stay behind to root out pockets of Noriega support in Panama.
Yeah, but it was successful. Like, look at what is this, an anti-American channel? Because it seems like you're having a hard time just admitting that it was just success. Yeah, it takes effort and work to be successful. Yeah, duh. It's not going to be easy.
Wasn't a simple mission. 23 American soldiers were killed in the process, as well as hundreds of Panamanian citizens.
Guys, war is hard. People die in wars. War takes effort. Regime change is difficult. Okay. Thank you for
the US public were willing to tolerate these casualties because Noriega was incredibly unpopular and had
so is Maduro.
Essentially started the war when his security forces killed an unarmed US Marine and
so did Maduro. So is Maduro.
Used another US naval officer and his wife. But it's hard to see American voters today tolerating a forever war in Venezuela, especially considering that Trump campaigned as a peace candidate. And finally, while Machado might be genuinely popular in Venezuela, her ascendance wouldn't be guaranteed. Public opinion might sour if she was perceived as an American lackey, and there are lots of
American guys. Having a smaller country having a relationship with the world superpower is only the most rational thing to do. Like American, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm a smaller country, just ignore the world superpower and not try to have a great relationship with the greatest power on the fucking earth. Like, how does that make sense? This is just it's just being real with what's being objective about what you have to do to save your country. Like, why would you expect anything else? Especially given that they're in your neighborhood. They're like, guys, people in Vietnam are pro-American, and they're all over there. They're like, oh my God, really? The people, the country that was at war with the United States for so many years and so many people died. Now in Vietnam, the United States is so popular, and Vietnamese people want a good relationship with the United States because they know that's best for them. And then you want Venezuela, who is right there, right next to the greatest superpower. Like, oh, no, we don't want to be like a puppet of the United States. Bullshit. Your neighbors with the world superpower take advantage of a good relationship with them.
People within the Venezuelan political class and its military who would probably try and snatch the crown. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, then there's plenty of other outlets reporting.
Oh, okay, so never mind. This is the ad now. Probably ground news or something. All right, guys. I'm going to head out. I have a call with somebody. So make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Make sure you like the stream. I'm going to be scheduling a group call with you guys pretty soon in our community. Okay, the community is linked in the description. World Liberty Battle Camp is our community. And we could basically talk about these topics. I'm going to have a call where we just come out and talk about the news. It's like a Zoom call, but better. So the link to our community is in the description. Click on it. I'm going to schedule, go check the calendar section of our community. Actually, let me show it to you guys. So you know what I'm talking about. Our community is growing, guys. We're growing up. Our little tiny community. I'm so proud of our community. So look at this. We have 138 members now, and it's active, and people are talking. And oh, there's a poll. Guys, you could put your own polls. You have your own discussion, and then we have a classroom here where I put some interesting topics. But most importantly is the calendar section. I'm going to schedule a group call where we talk about the news. Let me know what news you want to talk about, or on our next call, or should it be just any news, like open discussion? So I'm going to pick a date here and a time for us to just hang out and talk about the news. So again, link is in the description, and actually let me give you the link in the live chat as well. Where is the link? I go to about, and then I click on settings, and then I click on invite, and I copy the link. I put it in the chat for you guys. Go join this community, make it grow, and then have conversations with people here. And then also look up the calendar. Very soon we're going. At some point, what I want to do is that after every live show that we have, we will have a call talking about the topic that we covered. That's what I want to do. Like we would do a live show, a topic, and then we jump over to the World Liberty Battle Camp community, and then we will jump into our call, and everybody gets to speak about it. That's what we want to do. That's what I want to do eventually. Okay. So again, link is in the description, and I also gave it in the live chat. Join the community and make it grow. Recommend it to other people. Let's create a very fun group where we talk about all of these topics together. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for hitting the bell notification, because the subscribe button is not very useful. It does a little, but not that much. So if you're new here, don't just hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification. Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out. Thank you so much for being here with me. Say it with me. I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. See you on the next stream. Mwah. Bye, guys.